Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Hakuoki Ito Blossoms. And why does my Xbox insist on constantly turning itself on now that I've turned ever since it turned on accidentally? Now it's just magically turning itself on all the time. Fucking irritating. Anyway, we're back with more Hakuoki Ito Blossoms in Kazama's route, and we're in chapter 3. I think we just started chapter 3 in the last part, so this could end up being a normal length part, like I anticipated, like 5 parts or so, because we're just started chapter 3. We haven't gotten to any of our choices, whatever. So, I mean, the 5th part would be short unless chapter 3 and 4 are really long and run into, where we don't get the ending um until part 5. You know what I'm saying? Because we usually end up finishing the game in the 4th part or whatever, and then the 5th part lately has been just the bad endings. But there's only 2 bad endings, so like I don't know what's gonna happen. So we'll see. Anyway, I turned my head in all directions, looking to see where Kazama had run off to, but by the time I found him, the sun was setting into a warm pool of orange in the horizon. Kazama, I timidly called out to him. He turned his head to gaze at me, but he paid no mind and continued walking at the same pace. Where are you going? If you insist on joining me, then shut your mouth and keep up. You'll understand when we arrive. But I sprinted up to where he had been walking so that we could have an open discussion, but he seemed unwilling to entertain any such thing. I peeked at him confusedly, and I was struck with the most peculiar feeling of déjà vu. Huh. A row of trees loomed over the forested path, and its neat arrangement reminded me of a welcoming ceremony. My nose tingled with the most familiar scents. A fragrant patch of morning glories dotted the lush meadows surrounding the trail. He's taking you to Yukamura Village, right? My body was trying to tell me something, consuming me with this vague sense of yearning. It all felt so surreal to me, and I couldn't place my finger on what it was. I was being imbued with this ambient energy, a kind of serene grace that put my tired heart at ease. Here we are. Before I had an opportunity to voice how strangely I felt, Kazama stopped walking. This place was. Yep. Oh my goodness. My eyes scanned the environment, hitting me with the blast of nostalgia that nearly brought me to my knees. Beside us was a charred hut with a fallen support beam cutting through the middle of it, and my mind immediately filled in the blanks of what it used to be. We arrived at a village, and in the middle was a decayed well, encircled by overgrown weeds. I picked up on the life that used to inhabit this place. Shards of an old bucket were scattered around the well, and an old doll laid in the grass near my feet. There was no mistaking it. Is this the village where I was born? I asked Kazama shakily. Kazama neglected to answer me and shut his eyes. Just then, is it just me, or is it maybe because of the light that's being... Why does his hair look like a darker, like a more, less... I always felt like it was always like a brighter gold color, like a brighter blonde than it is like now it's like a dirty blonde. Is it just the lighting in like this scene, or is it because he changed his outfit and it looks different? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why did I just notice that? It's weird. Anyway, just then, something caught his attention in the distance, and Kazama darted up to a small hill to see what it was. To my surprise, we saw Kaoru. We found him collapsed in a bed of flowers, and my heart dropped. On the side of his ribcage was gauze that had been completely soaked with blood. I was under the impression that he attempted to treat the injury inflicted by Kazama, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that he fled to this village in anticipation of death's cold embrace, left to suffer his last bitter moments alone. The rigor mortis has set in. He's been long dead. I took comfort, at least, in the fact that his expression seemed rather peaceful. Part of me almost believed that, after the evening passed, he'd wake up to greet the morning dawn, and we could talk about everything that happened. Okay. Poor thing. Just then. Just then. There's a lot of just thens. A flashback hit me like a speeding bullet. It was from years ago, back when he and I lived in the seclusion of Yukamura Village. Brother! I want to see the field of flowers again. Please take me. We can't go there anymore. Why not? Father scolded me for taking you there. He said that since you're a girl, I can't take you anywhere dangerous. But I was fine. Did you tell them? Spacey doesn't need help. Look, I can't take you, all right? I'm a boy. Demon boys have to do their job. They have to protect the girls. I finally remembered. I don't know what caused me to forget years ago. Why, when my village was set ablaze, had Kaoru risked his life to protect me? Why are you crying? It wasn't until Kazama pointed it out that I realized there were tears falling down my face. I just remembered something important. Important. I nodded. It wasn't just Kaoru that saved me either. Father carried the two of us in his arms, barreling down the mountain as fast as he could run. Afterwards, he took me in and gave me the best childhood I could have ever asked for. I was loved. There were so many people who protected and cared for me. Most of all, Father and Kaoru. Well, I see. Kazama didn't press the subject further. The two of us listened to the gentle hum of the wind passing through this forsaken village, grazing against the burned wood creaking far away. Your brother deserves to be buried. A grave befitting of the head of the Yukamura clan. Together we hiked to the highest peak of the hill that overlooked the rest of the village, and it was here that we buried Kaoru's remains. Kazama kept his eyes fixed on the grave for a few minutes after we finished patting the dirt, and eventually he reached for the canteen hanging on the side of his belt and poured it gently on top of the grave. He's pouring one out for his homies. He literally is! He's not carrying around water for trekking. It's sake. That's fucking weird. But he literally legit is pouring one out. That's fucking hilarious. The sake reflected the glimmering moonlight as it fell from the canteen, seeping deep into the soil. Kazama was expressionless, watching the alcohol drip from his bottle towards his feet. Her uniform does look super cute, though. His eyes glowed with melancholy, and I wondered to myself if Kazama was regretful about how things transpired between the two of them. If it weren't for the humans, then I'm certain that your brother would have made a fine leader. His sentiment was so heavy, and it seemed like the both of us were learning how to navigate the nuance of our grief together. For this, I was appreciative. If it weren't for the humans. It was a lofty question, one I'd likely ponder for the remainder of my life. And things could have manifested so differently for Kaoru and Father. At the very least, they could have made an impact on their people, unburdened by the curse of vengeance that unfairly plagued the rest of their short lives. Kaoru originally mentioned something about wanting to use the Furies to rebuild the remnants of the Yukamura clan, but I think, in the end, all of it was a facade to mask the trauma inflicted by those wicked humans. In essence, Kaoru wanted to preserve the picture of this village and everything it stood for. Maybe, just maybe, he'd wanted to reclaim some of those memories that were viciously stripped from him. He was just a boy whose every step was met with tragic misfortune. He died just as he lived, alone. It was the only way I could explain the myth of Kaoru without slumping into depression. My wish was that his last moments were painless, that he had been able to reconcile his hatred as he laid in the meadow of the one place he loved. Kazama... What? I know that my father and Kaoru committed unforgivable crimes against humanity and our people, but even so, do you think it would be okay for me to remember them as gentle, kind people? Father's serum was catastrophic, responsible for the deaths of countless warriors and innocent people. For them to violate the natural order of demonhood and all that encompassed our sacred existence was a mark of condemnation. 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 Why could I not read that? To Kazama and his kin. You're free to do as you please. The Demon's Code has no bearing on matters of the heart. Regardless of the sins they've committed, they are still your family. His words made me sigh in relief. Can I ask you one more question? Demons far surpass humans in strength and ability, don't they? How can you explain what happened to my people? How are humans able to destroy my clan? Kazama tilted his head, peering into my eyes inquisitively. Perhaps he was testing me to see if I could handle the truth. To be honest, I was unsure if I could. but it was a question that needed answering. Eventually, the Sasuma, Choshu, and Tosa formed a secret alliance in order to overthrow the shogunate and approach demon clans to aid their cause. And they needed more help than the Kazama or Shiranui clans could afford to give them, so they went east. It was then that they asked the Yukimura clan. AR people, however, were unenthused about the idea of participating in human affairs, particularly in regards to warfare, and supposedly declined to help. Having demons as allies was crucial not only for their untold powers, but because having them as enemies was an extremely dangerous proposition. Because the Yukimura clan expressed no interest in helping them, the anti-shogunate domains interpreted its refusal as a challenge to their authority. That's why my clan was destroyed? That was their justification for killing my people? We already knew that, though. You asked, how did they do that? Like, how did they kill demons? Lit them on fire. I cried out in defeat, and Kazama turned to gaze at the scorched village below the hill. We already knew all that. Like, that's not news to her, even. Even in this path, it's not news to her. It was futile. The past couldn't be changed. I feel like we already had this discussion. Do you now feel their hatred? I remain in the shadows, out of the affairs of mankind. This is where demons belong. All of the clans, of all the clans, yours is the one who put the dignity of its people first by refusing. The humans had no right to attack your people, and were blinded by their lust for power. I directed my gaze towards the floor as Kazama muttered words of comfort. His voice was hushed, hovering just above a whisper, and he continued, It was never my intention to reveal the history of the Yukimura clan to you, but I suppose, because we're here, it is unavoidable. Do you not resent the humans for what they've done? How should I respond? There's a part of me that thinks about how I should hate them, but there's something overriding that angry voice, and instead, I just feel sorrow. I'm just so heartbroken. Sorrow. I nodded. When I first learned of what compelled Father and Kaoru to embark on this path of vengeance, all I felt was sorrow. Grief had taken me entirely. I had been reminded of the family I used to know, as well as the parents that I would never know. My real father and mother, as well as the rest of the Yukimura clan. Do you know how they died? Fire? I haven't the faintest idea. My only knowledge is that none of them put up much of a fight, and were complicit in the humans' rampage. It was an admirable effort, and they held on to their convictions as demons by refusing to fight the humans, even at the cost of their own lives. As Kazama and I walked through the village, I kneeled down and touched my fingers to the burned pillar I'd seen when we first arrived. Had I touched this pillar as a child? Now it was a dried and freezing surface. Is there no way for us to live in a world where everyone can coexist peacefully? Oh, honey, no. No. Why couldn't we all laugh and live in harmony with one another? Because people are assholes. Why was the pursuit of peace so entrenched in the deaths of innocent lives? The Shinzengumi exposed me to so many different walks of life. A range of motivations, ideologies, and ambitions. When two opposing parties were unwilling to compromise, then it usually led to war, but all anyone should be concerned about is helping out their fellow man. Surely we all had this goal in common. It just breaks my heart to see that people are so willing to inflict pain on others. I see. I can see how hurt you are. Kazama took this opportunity to console me rather than refute me, and he nodded quietly. There was a kind twinkle in Kazama's eyes, which I had noticed to be uncharacteristically placid when I looked at him. Yeah, you love me. We already knew you wanted me. Okay, you wanted me, but that doesn't mean you were in love with me. But yeah, hey, you know what? Now you're falling in love with me, so perfect. Indeed. Perhaps a day will come when Perhaps a day will come when we will no longer need our swords to speak for us. Yeah, now it's just guns and tanks and bombs and shit. Eventually, we fell quiet, naturally running out of things to say. After a moment, Kazama broke the silence by muttering to himself. Humans are hopeless. They are without exception, drawn to conflict like a moth to a lantern. This is why demons have forsaken them. My desire to participate in this war wanes with each day. And of course, so should yours. Kazama, I had no intention of being anywhere near this war either. But there was still so much I needed to do, namely, learning the fate of the Shinsengumi. Understandably, they were still deeply involved with the war and whatever outcome awaited them. I don't think that I'm unaware of your concern for the Shinsengumi's safety. Huh? If you want to see them so badly, then it's pertinent for you to exercise patience. If you become restless and enter the middle of the conflict too hastily, then you'll die before you get a chance to reunite with them. Impatience is unbecoming, and I believe none of your ancestors would wish that upon you. You're right. As Kazama said, I had been impatient all this time. Kazama was often blunt, if not outright rude, but he was speaking honestly, and I could tell that he was genuinely worried for my well-being. That I knew for sure. Thank you for looking out for me. Well, with your penchant for recklessness, it is a necessity. Recklessness? How else could I describe it? You have no means of reaching Aizu Castle by yourself. Although Kazama was, once again, snidely chiding me for being so meek, for some reason I found his delivery endearing, and his words snaked their way into my heart. Amagiri said the same thing that you did, Kazama. He said that we have no way of knowing whether or not the Shinsengumi will still be at Aizu Castle by the time we arrive, so I should wait. So for now, I guess I will wait until we know for sure. Kazama scanned me, his eyes thinning with satisfaction. Glad to see you've wisened up by taking my advice to heart. Obedience is a good look on you. You're well on your way to becoming the ideal wife. Way to miss the point! Besides, I'm not your wife, Kazama. After scoffing at Kazama's suggestion, I turned to get one last glimpse of the immaculate scenery around us. All I'd wanted was to reunite with the men of the Shinsengumi, but even more so, I couldn't bear the thought of letting the deaths of my paternal parents, father and Kaoru, to be in vain by wasting my life so wantonly. I had to make absolutely sure to pick up and choose my battles. To pick and choose my pick up. I had to make sure to. I had to make. I had to make absolutely sure to pick and choose my battles, as Kazama put it, wisely. As Kazama and I left the village, I put the image of the charred ruins behind me and instead carried the resolve to honor my people and their sacrifice. October 1868, is that what it said? I wasn't like, I was just like, much to our dismay, some unsettling news awaited us as we reached the outskirts of Aizu Castle. The Aizu domain, after months of resistance, had finally tendered the terms of their surrender to the Imperial Army. Aizu's finally flown the white flag, have they? I'm surprised they lasted as long as they did. I couldn't believe that the Aizu were defeated. When the Shinsengumi was still stationed in Kyoto, the Aizu served as one of their biggest allies and supplied them with armaments and support. So where's the Shinsengumi then? I felt my body tremble as I asked him, trying to steel myself from letting the trepidation take over. Had they too declared their surrender to the Imperial Army with the Aizu? I feared the worst, thinking of all manners of brutal torture and imprisonment awaiting them. Would their fate be the same as Kondo's? I had Amagiri investigate the situation at once. Surely he'll return with news soon. Both Kazama and Amagiri were affiliated with the Sasuma domain. I imagine it wasn't particularly difficult for either to ascertain key information in regards to the war front. Kazama and I waited idly on the outskirts of the castle before Amagiri returned. Oh, this is where we find out that Saito's missing. Now discover the Shinsegumi's whereabouts. I held my breath in anticipation. Although I had been begging for a sign, anything really, of where they'd been, the circumstances of the defeat made me anxious of hearing the truth. Amagiri took a deep breath and spoke with a somber tone. Allegedly, Okita, the captain of their first division, has passed away from illness in Edo. As for Saito, he was last seen leading a battalion of Shinsengumi men in Banari Pass and has been missing in action. We can only assume the worst. My stomach sank like a stone into the ocean. Suddenly, my breaths were shallow and staggered. Okita and Saito were gone. See? Man-harem Ra would have saved them all! I don't care, I'll keep saying it. Two of the most talented, heroic warriors in the Shinsengumi were now nothing but a faint memory, fading against the tide of an unstoppable army. Nagakura, who is reported to have left the Shinsengumi months ago, is also missing in action. That's bullshit, Nagakura! You can't kill them all, game! Stop it! I was speechless. I could only bite into my lips and look at the ground. Was Nagakura safe? Were any of them safe? Oh, God, this is the worst shit. Oh. Sanan and Toto, both of whom led the Fury Corps into the Shinsengumi, were killed in combat by Imperial soldiers on the battlefield. Heisuke and Sanan too? This game sucks. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with this. Like, why do you have to kill all of our friends? It's just, I understand, but I don't. Like, you kind of bastardized the actual history, so you could have just done it a little more and let our friends all live happily ever after. The Imperial Army was likely briefed on their use of Furies and their weaknesses by Kodo. The deaths of Heisuke and Sanan were difficult to take in, and I was swirling in a pit of despair. Yeah, like, death of Okita is not that hard to take in because he was sick and slowly dying since game one. So we kind of, again, it's still sad, but we expect it. But like, she's like, the deaths of Heisuke and Sanan were difficult to take. So is Saito, goddammit! They willingly gave up their humanity to become Furies, and not even that could save them. What about the others? There's really no one left. We already know Yamazaki's probably dead, right? Harada Nagakura. It's basically Soma and Hijikata. That's basically it. Everyone else is dead right now. Saito's missing. Heisuke is dead. Okita's dead. Sanan's dead. Yamazaki probably died. We don't know. Yamazaki probably died before we got to this point because he dies in everything. I don't want to say we don't care about Iba, but they don't. In this route, it's like whatever to Iba. Harada and Nagakura are missing or dead. Dead/missing. Soma, Ryoma's already dead because he's always dead in every path except for his own. And Hijikata, it's just Soma and Hijikata. I mean, yes, okay. Shimada and Nomura, but they're not our boyfriendos, so like, they're gonna die anyway, and we already know, so. Well, thankfully for you, Hijikata lives and is en route to Sendai with his remaining men currently. My eyes shot wide open. Did I hear correctly? Even with the Aizu being done and dusted, and the death of all of his men, that old dog still got some bite, eh? Kazama was always the first one in line to scorn the Shinsengumi's actions, but this was different. His voice almost led me to believe that he was impressed by Hijikata, which was a little strange. Can we just have a, like, Kazama Hijikata sandwich? Are you down with that? I think you might be down with that. We could work that. No, because Hijikata's gonna die before we get there. God damn, this game won't let me have a harem. So everyone's still putting up a fight, huh? Life for the Shinsengumi following the Battle of Tobafushimi was nothing but one continuous adjustment to defeat. Even during the Battle of Kofu, when everything looked to be in their favor, the Shogunate left them out to dry. Yet, they pushed forward with their heads held high. What reason have they scrapped together to justify continuing this hopeless war? As I recall, the Tokugawa clan hadn't even declared them as retainers of the Shogunate. I cannot fathom any reason for them to risk their lives so needlessly. And yet, here they are. I don't know either. There was one thing I did know. I celebrated internally, knowing that their spirits were unbroken despite their adverse circumstances. Speaking as an outsider, all they're doing is hopping from one burial ground to the next. Kinda true. Can you honestly tell me this is the future they've envisioned for themselves? Yes. I was like, no question. Not even a pause. Not even a yes. Can you tell me? Yes. The Shinsengumi's steadfast dedication on the battlefield was a monument to courage and the principles of their fallen comrades. I heard the remnants of the Shogunate army are mobilizing in Sendai to depart for Izo. Izo. It's far north of Oshu, a land located beyond the ocean's reaches. That's not true. The ocean reaches everything. Oshu, formerly known as the Mutsu province, it is in the country's northeastern region. As soon as he said it, my heart was set. Do you plan on going to Izo as well? Yes. Hijikata may be unaware of the news that some of the captains have passed away. With Okita having died in Ito and Harada dying back in Ueno, it was unclear to me if word of their passing had reached Hijikata in time. It was my duty to honor their memory by telling Hijikata myself. He's gonna find out when he dies and they're gonna be like, "What's up?" They're all in the afterworld together. Oh. My eyes intently shifted to Kazama. Kazama, I want to travel to Izo and meet up with whomever's left in the Shinzengumi. Before I continued, I took a brief moment to carefully calculate what I'd wanted to say. I inhaled, looking straight into Kazama's eyes. I said, I can't burden you any longer. No, come with me and witness the end. It's like overly dramatic, but sexy, but it's like so sad at the same time. Kazama, would it be too much to ask if you'd join me? Me. Go along with you. Yes, I have a gut feeling that Izo is the end of the road for them. No battlefields were left untouched by this vicious torrent of the war, and Izo stood as the decisive scene in our history's most tumultuous chapter. So, I guess that's even more of a reason why I want to travel together, Kazama. He's like, wait. I've been trying to force this on you slowly but surely, and now you're gonna. Oh, but okay. He's like, wait, what? I want you with me when I witness the end of the Shinsengumi. Oh my god, that's so dramatically sad, but it's true. It was surreal, if not strangely inappropriate, of me to ask such a thing of Kazama, but because Kazama had been involved in so many duels with the Shinsengumi over the years, I wanted him to bear witness to what could possibly be the Shinsengumi's final intimate moments. Kazama listened intently, and when I finished speaking, his lips curled into a smug grin. It's a demonic grin, I love it. The end for them, you say? Very well. What an enticing offer. Thank you so much. I was flushed with relief at Kazama's acceptance of my proposal. It had felt like ages since anyone could coax a sincere smile out of me. Well, we'd better get moving to Sendai. It'd be a shame if the boat to Izo leaves before we arrive. Goodbye for now, Amagiri. We bid farewell to Amagiri and turned around in the direction of Sendai when... Hold on a minute, you two. There's someone here who wants to speak with you. Huh? I spun back around to face Amagiri. It was... Well, it's got to be Shiranui because, like, all our friends are dead, so it's not like it's one of them. We didn't see any of them. Like, none of them came to see us at all. Like, we didn't... Like, we just... That's so sad. This is almost... This is basic... Okay, I know we're going to end up with Kazama because that's, like, the way this route is. But this is basically the independent woman route. We just have a man in tow. Like, we're basically just dragging him around by the balls. Like... But this is basically it. Like, all our friends are dead and we don't get to see them. We did see Hijikata on the independent woman route, but... Ah, there you are. Looks like you made it to Aizu in one piece. Shiranui, what are you doing here? Are you here with the Imperial Army? No, I just raced to Aizu to bring you something. Shiranui looked forlorn as he reached for a long, narrow spear he'd been carrying on his back. Is that... Harada's? Unfortunately, yes. I was unable to reach the Shinsengumi in time. If he had lived, I believe he'd still be here fighting by everyone's side. He was tenacious. I tepidly grabbed hold of Harada's memento. It was tattered with deep scratches and scuffs, giving me a sense of how valiantly he must have fought against the savage wave of furies. Shiranui, you are an ally of the Choshu, are you not? No, idiot! I don't answer the Choshu, only Takasugi. Besides, human history is written only by the victors, and everyone else is cast to the dust. So, far be it for me to let their history speak for me. This smells like bullshit to me. Shiranui grimaced at Kazama playfully, then turned to face me. You still plan on following where the Shinsegumi's headed, right? Yes, or at least I hope so. Well, then you can tell them something for me. Well, then can you tell them something for me? Yeah. Tell them that Harada, the captain of the 10th Division, one of the bravest, most ferocious warriors I've ever met. Shiranui was nowhere near as bad as Kazama, but praising humans wasn't exactly one of his habits, especially to the degree he described Harada. Imagining what he witnessed with Harada moved me almost as much as it must have moved him, and a bittersweet warmth swelled in my chest. Understood. I promise I'll pass along the word. You won't, though, because when you get there, everyone's going to be dead. Don't bother. Isn't this just another worm you've let crawl into your insipid heart? Well, look who's talking. Who was it exactly that you came all the way to Aizu for? I bet you that you're just as curious and seeing what's going to happen to the Shinsengumi. Hardly. I'm merely a passenger of circumstance, which has taken me on the same path as them. Enough wasting time, Yukamura. It's time for us to leave for Sendai. Okay, well then, Amagiri and Shiranui, please take care of yourselves. As we bid the two of them another farewell, Kazama and I saw ourselves out of Aizu. After a day of travel, he and I reached the town of Sendai, but it was conspicuously quiet. I wonder if the Shinsengumis already left for Izo. It appears as though the boat has already left the harbor. I believe we just missed them. And they couldn't have gotten far, so we may be able to see their boat. Do you want to try? Of course, let's go. Kazama and I ascended a nearby beach bluff where we hoped to get a clearer view. A cascade of maroon sparkled across the vast sea in reflection of the wide sunset, and in the distance we watched the shadow of the boat in the horizon. If I wasn't mistaken, they looked to be sailing upon a black ship. Do you think that's where the Shinsengumi is? Is that ship over there? Oh, in that ship over there. One would assume. I had traveled the entire country searching for them. Now, once again, I just barely missed them, and I was left in the dust. I almost wish you had caught them just so you could have said goodbye to Hijikata before he fucking dies. A sharp pang shot up my nose, and suddenly I found myself fighting back a wave of tears. I dug my teeth into my lower lip, hoping not to let this deluge of self-pity come to the surface. If you want to cry so badly, why don't you? No. I shook my head quietly. Only because I can only imagine how much pain they're in right now. I have no right to shed tears when it's not me who's fighting out there. Kazama sighed out of frustration and shut his eyes. He paused briefly, shifting his eyes back and forth. You know, just because you're no good with a sword doesn't mean you're not fighting. Although your methods are quite different than the Shinsengumi's. You've had your own demons to fight, literally. Even I notice it. I felt so warm to hear Kazama's gentle words of encouragement towards how much I'd been through. After seeing Father's death, my lukewarm reunion with Kaoru, and revisiting the village of my birth. Then, when we arrived in Aizu, I'd been confronted with the crushing blow of hearing what became of all of my old friends in the Shinsengumi. A tempest of grief gathered its wind in my heart, swirling with fervor as I tried not to collapse. I can't cry. If I do, then my vision will blur the view of the ship upon which everyone had been traveling. I'll turn around if you like. Cry as much as you wish. Kazama pointed his nose toward the ocean, which glowed with hues of orange in the gold under the glimmer. Wait, with hues of orange in the gold under the glimmer of the late afternoon. That just sounds so fucking weird. In this moment, the levee holding back my tears broke, and everything snapped. Oh, it's actually kind of cute. She's just like leaning on his back, and he's like, I'm just gonna pretend that I'm not here. Like, it almost looks like if you didn't know the context, you'd be like, that's kind of douchey. He's got his back turned, and she's like, what, crying and begging him not to, like, whatever. But it's really like he's just like, you cried. I'm just gonna. I'm not looking at you. Just go ahead and cry. I'm gonna just let you have your moment by yourself. You know what I mean? I instinctively grabbed a hold of the shirt on Kazama's back. I buried my face into his back, wailing as quietly as I could. After believing that I could catch up to them, yet again they slipped from the tips of my fingers. The ship was beginning to vanish beyond the horizon, sailing into the ocean's furthest tendrils. Soon they disappeared from sight. I listened to the roar of the sea crashing behind me, and Kazama spoke up. I promise you, I will take you to them. Just be patient, okay? Kazama, who previously seemed hell-bent on abducting me at any cost from the Shinsengumi. Now the shoe was on the other foot, and he had promised to keep me safe on this last journey. Although I had no idea when it actually happened, I was determined to see this to its conclusion. I must head to Izo, the land at the other end of the world. It's really just the other end of the country. It's not really the other end of the world. The other end of the world would be America, like the opposite side of the planet, you know. The opposite end of your world, I guess, is Izo. Like, Hey, 1869. Oh, this is where we go and all our friends are dead. Son of a bitch. Well. Yeah, we're probably... I'm going to guess we're only going to get one more part now. Like, we'll be able to finish it, maybe. Because we're starting chapter 4 now, so... Our initial attempts to leave the harbor for Izo, hot in our pursuit for the Shinsengumi, were fruitless. Negotiating with ship captains to allow 2 random strangers, who for all intents and purposes were no more than fugitives, was a difficult sell. Kazama sensed that our search would require more time than we originally anticipated, and so he rented a nearby mansion in Sendai for the time being. Funnily enough, I was becoming accustomed to my cozy life in Sendai. May 1869. Word reached us of the Imperial Army's successful invasion of Hakodate, leaving no stone unturned as the occupying forces swept through the port city. June 1860. Yep, everyone's dead. It's like the last battle, like... Christ. I became too distracted to continue sewing, heaving a small sigh to myself in the comfort of the mansion. Almost a month had passed since we heard about the report of the massive invasion in Hakodate. But even as the threat of conflict loomed in a nearby city, leads for a means to reach Izo were elusive. Our circumstances became particularly dire when, in April, former Shogunate soldiers attacked ships from the Imperial fleet in Miyako Bay. Thanks to increased security enforcements around each port and harbor around the country, locating a suitable ship for a civilian like me was impossible. It had been almost an entire year since my separation from the Shinsengumi, which only worsened my anxiety about realistically being able to find them. Would we ever reunite, assuming they were still alive? They're not. It wasn't that Kazama's promise of safely reaching Izo was wearing thin with me, but each day without progress was making me impatient. I wonder if Kazama will return soon. Kazama and Amagiri ventured tirelessly around every market and tavern, eavesdropping on conversations to gather intelligence and leads for transport to Izo. For myself, I was tasked with keeping the homestead tidy, taking time each day to prepare meals and perform seamstress duties. Okay, so they can just like magically poof in and out of places. Why doesn't like Amagiri like poof over and go to like Izo and be like, oh, everyone's dead, poof back. By the way, everyone's dead, no point in going. A year, you could have fucking poofed over there and poofed back and been like, they did. Like, done. My ear perked up in reaction to the sound of the door sliding open, and I straightened my back reflexively. Home. Hello, welcome back. I sincerely appreciate all that you've done for us today. Speaking of which, were you able to hear any leads about ships departing? His silence was deafening. No such luck today. Kazama had seemed especially aggrieved, however, given his slumped body language. Kazama, did something happen out there? I've got a feeling that you're keeping something from me. Kazama? Kazama's mannerisms in his foulest of moods were uncannily cat-like, dismissive to a spiteful degree. I knew that sitting idly by, however, would only give him an opportunity to let his attitude fester. Why does she look like a 6-year-old? Regardless, thank you for searching for our sake. I'm going to begin preparations for dinner, so by all means, please make yourself comfortable. Or would you rather I draw a bath for you first? He's like, the fuck? Neither. My throat is rather dry, so I desire a cup of sake before dinner. Fetch me a bottle at once. I'm only going to grab you one, okay? Drinking too much isn't good for your health. Huh. I bring death to those who threaten to waste my precious time. And you worry about my health? Besides, sake is more of a medicine than a poison. And as you've noticed, I'm ill. Make it 3 bottles. Look at her pissed face! That's actually kind of funny. Hey, don't take your frustrations out on me. Also, it's only a medicine when you drink in moderation, not when you're pissed drunk. Haven't you heard the phrase, the last drop makes the cup run over? Kazama glared at me repugnantly, no doubt incensed by my brevity in challenging him, but... After having spent nearly every moment of close to a year with him, I was beginning to peel back the layers, making his behaviors a bit easier to decode. Our intense stare went on for a few more moments, pressure bubbling to the surface like sulfur. As tension reached a breaking point, the two of us broke the silence at the exact same time. Fine, 2 will do. Oh, very well. I will prepare 2 for you. Oh. I found myself more comfortable with Kazama's petulant veneer, giving me the confidence to assert myself more and more often. How playfully cavalier of you. So far, neither a vessel nor the location of one has been ascertained. Doesn't this bother you? Well, I can't help but grow anxious, yes, but I realize while speaking to Kazama that I am grateful. To tell you the truth, I'm so grateful of all that you and Amagiri have done for me recently. I wasn't speaking only of their diligence in Sendai. I could have fallen prey to a bevy of dangers while outside of the Shinsengumi's custody, but Kazama had repeatedly saved my life in our time together. But like, if you hadn't gone to Kyoto and gotten in with the Shinsengumi, you would have been home by yourself in Edo when your dad left you for like 4 fucking years. So like, I mean, like, without being under the Shinsengumi's care, like, well, I guess in this case, it's not really like because I'm a woman alone. It's really more like because demons are, well, we're in the company of the demon that was after us, but like our father's trying to kill us and our brother's trying to use us as a broodmare and like all that shit. So I guess I kind of understand this. It's not the, I need to be protected because I can't be a woman alone. It's more like, because they evil fucking assholes after me. So, okay, I get that. Just had to think it through for a minute. If I had to deal with all of this alone, then there's no telling where I'd be at this point. At first, I was rather intimidated by you, but now I have to admit that I owe much to you. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I admitted to him my sincere debt of gratitude and bowed deeply, feeling the tatami creak underneath me. He's like, yeah, gratitude enough to marry me? What? That's more like it. Humility is a more attractive color on you. From now on, feel free to humble yourself by complimenting me however much you deem fit. You're such a dick. Oh, please, I just did. Don't make me regret it already. I threw a petty fit by pouting my lips, but Kazama chuckled to himself. He likes just goading us. He's like poking it, like, haha. Suddenly, Kazama's expression dropped, and he appeared stern without missing a beat. Kazama? Earlier, you had a question. I have a response. Oh, yes. My heart seemed keen on bursting from out of my chest, wondering if he had in fact located a ship. After clearing my throat, I cupped my hands together, interlocking my fingers as I awaited his answer politely. He's going to tell us Hijikata's dead. Nothing could prepare me for what he said. Actually, this would be a better discussion for after we've eaten. Prepare yourself in the meantime. Really? I'm so anxious I'm going to puke. You can't do that. I know what it is, but our meal was shared in silence, and I had trouble finding room for my last piece of pickled plum in my stomach, so I stood up to gather the dishes. After cleaning all of the plates and utensils, I sat back down in front of Kazama calmly, waiting for him to share any possible information about a suitable ship. So, in regards to leaving for Izo, the Satsuma have graciously offered us permission to board their ship. Really? Use your brain. In what way would lying to you benefit me? Thank you! At long last, I can finally reunite with all of my friends in the Shinsengumi. Well, no, because most of them are dead. Euphoric tears formed behind my eyelids, and out of reflex I bowed once more to Kazama. As his usual custom, he bore no immediate reaction, his expression unchanged from his hard-nosed stare. Kazama? I cannot guarantee that either of us will find them, however. In all honesty, the chances are slim to none. What? Somehow the message behind his words failed to register in my mind, and I fell silent. It's been almost a year! You don't think that I mean, why not? We're still going to take our chances and board that ship, aren't we? I had a sneaking suspicion that things were about to take a turn, which spurred the ferocious pounding of my restless heart. His words were spoken eerily, worming its way into my mind like a haunting premonition. No. Only one fortress has withstood the tide of change, and making its surrender in Hakodate all but inevitable. Fate has spoken. I do not anticipate this trip to be fortuitous, even if they've not tendered a surrender. I held my breath all along, predicting the worst. I mean, that's true. They were, like, you know what I mean? Like, they were there in Izo and the Imperial Army couldn't get there until the spring. But now it's summer. They did. Like, of course, news would take a while to travel, but like, they're dying right now as we speak, probably, or already dead, and we just don't know. So, like, anyway, hold on. Sorry, I take my allergy pill, but I couldn't muster up enough spit to swallow it, and I was like, I can't swallow it. I'm gonna choke to death on it. And like, I was like, it's taking too long. Anyway. Hi, Booger, what you doing? What? Where you going? What you doing? Be good. No, bad bird. I held my breath all along, predicting the worst. But for those fears to have been realized by Kazama's cynicism, with nothing that I could prepare for. Years of blood, toil, and sweat spent in countless battlefields over the corpses of friends and foes. Gone. The struggle of loss reduced to a single word. They gracefully overcame defeat time and time again, but the Shinsengumi's swan song was imminent. My heart sank like a stone to the pit of my stomach. I could barely breathe. By the time we set sail for Izo, there may not be anyone alive to greet us. Yeah, I mean, there probably isn't already. So, perhaps my desire to reunite with them, like all other emotions in this desolate place, was unfounded. I tried my best to avoid sinking into a depression in front of Kazama. I fiddled my hands nervously in my lap. Just then, Kazama reached his hand over to me aggressively as I was on the brink of fainting. Stand. Back in Aizu, you committed yourself to witnessing the end of the Shinsengumi firsthand. Or were those all hollow gestures? I wasn't lying. His words slapped me across the face. Kazama had a habit of provoking my insecurities, as if he took pleasure from seeing me panic. For some reason, this time was different. This time he struck a potent nerve. So, if you were being truthful, then it must be clear to you. Their sense of pride, the journey they've traveled, and how you're woven into their myth. Although your tenure together may have been brief, remember them as they were. Remember how they honored the path of the samurai. This duty is yours alone. Should you survive, then you'll be the sole keeper of their memory. Now, unlike any moment prior, was the moment I realized how fiercely Kazama's crimson eyes burned, how they could inspire me to do anything. Okay. All I could muster was a nod in response. It was still too soon for me to accept the grief, let alone wallow in a pool of sorrow. But we're still able to board the ship, right? Yes. Okay, then let's leave for Izo, to see the Shinsengumi, whatever state they're in. Upon hearing my response, Kazama's mouth formed a grin, and I swore there was a twinkle in his eye. Very well, I shall take you there. Besides, I vowed to do so. You can always count on a demon to be true to their word. And that is something you can count upon. Thank you. I took a deep gulp, letting myself process the weight of the undertaking I had just accepted before bowing. Thinking back on it, my father and my brother. In fact, almost every warrior I'd ever met imparted to me something significant before they passed on. You know what I don't like? We had this little moment of Harada's dead, and the little brief moment with him. We didn't do that for any of the others. The fuck? My heart was keenly aware that another memory, as Kazama described, would be waiting for me in Izo. It was the end of a long, long war. What you doing, Booger? Oh, you're snuggling. I was sure that my journey with the Shinsengumi too would succumb at this war's culmination, and nothing I said or did would ever fully prepare me. Dun dun dun, devastating. After a few days of packing and preparations, we boarded a hulking Satsuma ship to Izo. The sense of salt and rust greeted my nose as we boarded the ship, and I thought about the strings pulled by Kazama and Amagiri to make this happen. My initial impressions of them were as heartless monsters, bent on destroying the Shinsengumi. No! I never thought that about Amagiri. He was always very polite. While the other ones were assholes, he would always come in and be like, sorry, we wrecked your shit, and take a bow to them. He was always very kind about his being a demon and trying to kill everyone. Just saying. But here, I found myself thanking them repeatedly. No matter... Bird! They're just in the game. No matter how many times I said it, it never captured how indebted I had felt to their kindness. The time has come. Shall we? Yes, let's go. A faint smile curled in the corner of Kazama's lips. As the summer solstice fast approached, the sun's rays became a harsh kiss upon my skin. By nightfall, however, the searing heat vanished in lieu of the ocean breeze, chilling me to the bone. Beyond this stretch of sea were the remaining members of the Shinsengumi. I mean, their corpses. I'd only heard legends of Izo, but from what I knew of it, it was a bleak, frigid landscape that was covered in snow throughout half of the year. I wondered to myself how the men were coping, how they steeled themselves to battle each day. That sounds like New England, FYI. Bleak, harsh. Bird, what the fuck? You're not that fat. Why do you make so much noise when you like? It just like sounded like he crashed into something. He just flew to the floor, but it was like a thunk. Just it's ridiculous. He's not a big bird, but as I found myself lost in a moment of reflection, I was startled to see Kazama suddenly next to me, being pretty as shit. Well, you look like a derpy 6-year-old. We should arrive in Izo no later than tomorrow. Have you given any more consideration to your aim in witnessing the Shinsegumi's final moments? My gaze fell to the floor silently. I thought that I was ready for it all along, but I had some hesitation in seeing it for myself. I really do like her Western uniform, like the little tie around her neck. It's like super cute. The reality was, the number of men who had fought and sacrificed their lives was a mystery to me, and I had been oblivious about it for some time. For all I knew, the men whom I had so desperately pined to see were long gone, their bodies ravaged in unspeakable ways. Kondo, Sanin, Okita, Saito, Heisuke, Harada. Over the past year, news of their deaths traveled to me while tending to my own business with Kazama. Hello? Nagakura? Like, I mean, that's rude. He's dead too, you know. I fooled myself into thinking that somehow not bearing firsthand witness to their deaths meant there was a chance they were still alive, but there's still a chance that Nagakura and Saito are alive because they're just missing. That's all I'm saying. I must see it for myself. I wanted to see their grit, their conviction, and I want to be there for them when it all comes to a close. Since we're the memory since we are their memories keepers, we must witness every second of it for the sake of its truth. Kazama kept his stare fixed on the northern star, which flickered softly above a sparkling ocean. It took a while for him to speak, and when he did, I detest the cold. Let us return inside. I followed shortly after him, hearing the waves crash against the side of the ship as we went inside. Just as Kazama had predicted, our vessel reached the outskirts of Izo by the very next day. In order to approach the harbor, we moved onto a smaller ship, dropping anchor in Nanahayama? Nanayama. Ahama? Nanayama? Something like that. Anyway. However, it hadn't taken very long before others took notice of our arrival. Ah! Cannon fire bellowed all around us, cracking like thunder as they flew through the air and shook the ground underneath our feet. This way! Kazama instantly grabbed a hold of my arm, yanking me closer to shield me. Thank you. That was a cannonball, wasn't it? So that must mean... It means we've stumbled right into the thick of it, haven't we? My heart dropped, realizing that the Shinsengumi were likely fighting for their lives at this moment. As I attempted to break into a sprint to search for them. Wait! Kazama wrapped his arms around my shoulders, and my body went numb in his tender embrace. Okay, I'm not going to make fun of her derp eyes there because she's like, what the fuck? Like, total shock, and I'm okay with that. They're still a little too big, but I get it. Kazama, you know what I mean? Like, that's a shocked face, so I'm accepting the giant eyeballs. The suddenness of his gesture had thrown me off entirely. Hi, bye. What the hell was that all about? Was Kazama simply trying to protect me from the shower of bullets and cannon fire raining above? Or was it something more? Something the matter? He offered no immediate answer. In fact, I was totally in the dark about why Kazama was acting the way he was. and given that I had no view of his expression to glance at, instead I could only rely upon the tight warmth of his embrace before he responded. Nothing can deter you from going, can it? And there's still a chance of saving yourself from the pain of watching their demise unfold. Contrary to our initial discussion, Kazama had seemed less concerned with the fact that I had wanted to go. The focus instead was upon my well-being, asking the question about whether I was ready to handle it all. It begged an answer, one that still needed forming. Well, a lump formed in my throat as I questioned myself. Moments from now, whether or not I had adequately prepared myself for it, I may encounter the corpses of Hijikata, Shimada, Soma, and Nomura. They're the only ones left. Nomura's already dead, though. He died in that. He went off on that boat. Would I be strong enough to cope with it? No. Could I, like the rest of the Shinsengumi men, grapple with loss, conquer it, and come out all the stronger? I gritted my teeth. I mustn't have any doubts. I had to come to a decision. Yes, I'll go. To where everyone is fighting. And I added, but I do have one request. What is it? Oh, that's actually kind of cute. They closed her derpy eyes a little, but I like the way she holds his arm. I placed my hand softly upon his, which was still coiled around my body. Will you stay with me until the bitter end? If I were to stand witness to the Shinsegumi's demise, and it becomes difficult for me to keep my composure, let alone stand, would you be there to lift me back up with these hands? Damn, girl. I sensed Kazama's muscles tighten in his face, which I could have sworn was a smile, given the closeness and proximity between our bodies. Yeah, he's like, yeah! He's wormed his way in. I mean, we've wormed our... It's kind of funny, because he just wanted us, I'm gonna take you for my bride, and he keeps talking about that. But we're worming our way into his heart, where he's not just like, look, I just need you to fucking bear my kids. He's like, I actually kind of like you. I think I love you. And we're like, Kazama's an evil asshole, and I love you. And it's, kind of cute. We were like, nah, fuck you, buddy. And he's like, I'm just gonna make you my whore. And, now we slowly, we've wormed our way into each other's hearts. It's kind of adorable. It only took him a beat to conjure a reply. How stupid of you to ask. Do you take me for a charlatan who goes back on his word? I'll follow you, no matter the distance. A part of me expected him to respond as much, but hearing those words fall so comfortably from his mouth evoked a warm feeling in my stomach. Although his response was rather arrogant, its delivery was muted by the way his arms pinned me next to his beating heart, and through this intimate expression, he laid bare his truthful self. Thank you. I was beginning to lose count of how many times I had thanked Kazama during our time together. Because of him, I was alive, ready to confront whatever came next. Kazama and I continued on our cautious approach towards the area of Goryokaku. Our walk was interrupted when Kazama said, Wait. His command was curt and sudden. I hear that. The cannon fire has ceased. Huh? Now that you mention it, the silence was far more eerie than the score of cannon fire that was roaring moments earlier. Do you think that the Shogunate forces have all been destroyed? No. My ponderous question fell at Kazama's deaf ears as he pursed his lips in a moment of contemplation. Perhaps fate is telling us something. Something we won't know until we reach Goryokaku. Let's move. Okay. Kazama's body language was suggestive enough for me to assume what may have happened, but there was no way of knowing for sure. Each step closer to Goryokaku unsettled my nerves. There was nothing to do but push forward, readying ourselves for whatever threats may have awaited us. It's so... I think I'm going to stop it here. I know we're a little under time and we can normally go another 5 minutes or so, but we don't have any more choices left in chapter 4, and I have a feeling we're getting closer to the end of chapter 4. There's going to be quite a bit, but I think if we can get our ending and then get the 2 bad endings in the next part, then we'll call it that'll be the end. But I don't want to go too long and we get to a point where we don't have a good cutoff spot. You know what I mean? And then we're like, oh, it's an hour and 20 minutes. And then the next part is like 10. You know what I mean? So anyway, I don't know. The next part is probably going to be a long part. But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.